is going to be a list of books that I do from the bottom of my heart believe are garbage in every way possible, that I think you might enjoy. I think that you will find them very enjoyable. One of those books that I really gave a very harsh review initially was Ready Player One. One of the reasons why I really didn't like this book was the reality that it was full of MacGuffins and artifacts that just, there were too many MacGuffins, too many Deus Ex Machina, okay? That's the gist of that review and the main primary reason why I didn't like this. That made the protagonist come across as a special boy, okay? Wade never really had to try because there were too many MacGuffins to solve most of his problems. However, that is really not where the story ends, because this book has very high star rating. It is very beloved, and in fact it has a movie. That movie itself has very high star rating, and a lot of people love that. I can see people reading this book and enjoying it completely. If I can overlook that main problem of, Deus Ex Machina, I can see myself really enjoying this book. Another book for the same reason is Wizard's First Rule. Again, has a high star rating. I don't like the author Terry Goodkind. No one will ever convince me of that. But if I can overcome the reality that the book is littered with Deus Ex Machina and a lot of MacGuffins, I will 100% really enjoy Wizard's First Rule. Hey, there is also the reality that the protagonist is a chosen one and he gets to do a lot of awesome things, right? So it's brainless fun, it's mindless fun. If you're tired, if you're really exhausted and you don't want to think and you want to pick up a book that's fun, this is the book. And then there is Shadow and Bone. I think genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I gave this book kind of an unfair review because at that time, at that point in my life, I saw anything that, I did not take a look at the intended audience angle, okay? I do consider most of the time what the author was trying to achieve. However, when I was reviewing that, I hadn't evolved enough as a person to take a look at the audience intention, right? Who is the intended audience, right? Because I think I didn't enjoy that book due to the reality that I just was not the intended audience. And that means I gave it a really unfair review, kind of unfair, because a lot of the stuff in their craft level is still true. But generally speaking, a lot of the audiences who are in, a lot of the intended audience will be willing to overlook all of that to enjoy the story. And hey, if you are the intended audience, you will 100% enjoy this book. This book is a fun read. The author, Lee Bardugo, she is amazing at writing prose. She is amazing at writing likable characters, and she is phenomenal at writing amazing romance. And then another book, Throne of Glass, for the same reason, right? For the same reason. When I was reviewing this book back in the day, I hadn't evolved enough as a person to actually consider the intended audience. And that means I really did not like Throne of Glass. However, I genuinely could not overlook the problems in that book, primarily because I was not really the intended audience and I just did not like most of the book, right? If you don't like most of a book that is already successful with a high number of star rating, which Throne of Glass, Shadow and Bone, Wizard's First Rule seem to have, well, guess what? Likely you're not the intended audience, right? And therefore, what ends up happening in this case is I genuinely can see myself enjoying this story if I was the intended audience, or if I'm willing to overlook the problems. So genuinely speaking, Throne of Glass, if you are the intended audience, you will 100% enjoy it. Okay, so let's do the final category. And the final category is books that you can read just for the giggles, or if you're like me, just for the giggles. And another one is if you are an aspiring writer yourself, okay? And this one is Twilight. This book, in my opinion, there's nothing redeemable. Even the intended audience, who are young girls, have hated this book for years. In fact, most of the audience that hate this book are supposedly the intended teenage girl audience, okay? So this book is really, really hated universally. I have hated it too, and I really do believe that I have wasted that week I read it. Number two, let's talk about, so you can read this book for giggles or for learning what to not do, okay? Another one is where you can read it for the giggles as well as learning what to not do. Well, guess what? It is The Fifth Sorceress. And The Fifth Sorceress is so bad, I now officially consider it the worst epic fantasy book ever written, okay? I genuinely believe this. In fact, I say this with confidence and with bold praise because I am the intended audience. Men and many basically who are fantasy readers who have been reading fantasy for very long number of years. That is the intended audience for Fifth Sorceress. I am that intended audience, and I don't like it. In fact, none of the intended audience I know people who have been reading fantasy for quite a good number of years and are men. They also do not like it. Those are my friends, my close circle of friends, right? And therefore, I genuinely do not think this book has any redeemable qualities. You can read it for the giggles, and you can read it to learn what to not do, right? So these are books that you might enjoy. The last two books are kind of an exception, but hey, the rest, you know, if you really overlook the problems, the main issues that others seem to have with the book, you will enjoy them, such as Ready Player One and Wizard's First Rule. Others, including, for instance, Throne of Glass, Shadow and Bone. These books, if you are the intended audience, you will 100% enjoy them. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have a nice day. Bye.